Okay, we're back, exercisebay.com. We're talking a little bit about shoulders. This is a lesson plan for everyone to understand. Okay, I'm not saying you cannot do an overhead press. I'm saying that there are specific finite ways that you should do the overhead press that will benefit not only yourself, but your clients. So Vladimir, Justina, if I said to you to go into shoulder flexion with the dumbbells, let's just use one dumbbell at a time. Arms and shoulder flexion, one arm and shoulder flexion. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to both go into shoulder flexion for me, just a shoulder flexion. Okay, so what we did, I'm going to come down just a little bit here. Good. Okay, so he's in shoulder flexion. So an anatomical position, coming away from the anatomical position, away from the body, we're figuring out what the joint's going to do in a position, and the hand is relative also. So right now, he's in a pronated position. Okay, let's say he's spilling the soup. So go into a semi-pronated position. Okay, thumb is up. That's semi-pronated position, like you're shaking someone's hand. And now if you were going to hold the cup of soup, you'd go into a supinated position. Okay, drop your arm for a minute. These anatomical positions are definitely related to hand positioning and how the joint's going to articulate. Also in the radial and the ulnar areas, by rotating them, okay, they're also going to have a relationship on what's going on up the kinetic chain. So as you rotate your arm forward, you get a little more internal rotation. Now depending on where the anatomical position is, if you're in full extension like this, overhead, which is called hyper meaning too much, okay, obviously the hand position is going to have a huge correlation on how the shoulder is going to stabilize. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through a couple, stand up for me, Vlad. Go through a couple motion or movement patterns in regards to the overhead press. So Vlad and Justina, I want you to bring your arms up into external rotation. Okay, so you're externally rotated. Why do you think people do dumbbell presses overhead in this position? Let's not talk about force load and angles and entry exit. Okay, right now this is your weakest position, the standing position, because the load has to go all the way to your feet, has a force or ground force reaction, has to come back up. Why do you think we started in this position? Okay, off the median plane, lateral to the median plane on each side, we put our arms here. Okay, do you think it's because we're balanced through our center of gravity and it felt better? What if we were to take the weights out in front of us? Okay, do you feel the pull? Where it's going to throw you forward. Okay, so that's a very awkward position. So we, who invented these exercises, decided that we're going to put our arms in external rotation and do an overhead press. Okay? Now we're not moving freely, we decided to connect to a bar. I'm getting to my point. As we hold this overhead press, we're coming down in that same position. Okay, so everyone drop your arms for a minute. Let's talk about what an overhead press actually is. Okay, shoulder flex and externally rotate for me. Shoulder flex, externally rotate, good. Bend your arms, put them back, hold that dumbbell. So you're in external, here's external rotation, here's internal rotation, okay? Okay, so you're on this plane here, okay? Do you feel any restrictions in this plane?
It kind of feels maybe tight or pinching.
Okay, it's stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a very strong position up here, okay, when you stabilize the scapula, okay, with the arm overhead. Very strong position. It's throughout the range of motion where it gets dangerous until you get there. Once here, force load, depending on how strong you are, and how well you can stabilize intersegmentally is the key to an overhead press. A lot of people can do it. Is it an exercise we want to do in the personal training industry? Probably not. Do we want to do anything overhead and create this impingement in an externally rotated position, the weakest position in the body? Probably not. Is it cool? Yeah, it's cool. Are we going to hang chains from a bar, okay, and work proprioceptively? Probably not. These are all very high-risk moves that we invented. You know, we didn't just open up some book and decide to do these exercises based on one person in the world who's in charge of inventing these exercises biomechanically correct. Because this is something that we have to think about. Okay, and stop being biased on specific exercises. And understand that a lot of exercises out there are extremely high risk. Doesn't mean you can't do them, you just have to think a little bit before you decide to do them with your clients.